Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And tonight on the angelic journey, we are on Archangel Anael. And Archangel Anael, you can see the pieces that are written in the booklet, but Archangel Anael is associated with Venus, the planet Venus. And as far as the tree of life is concerned, it's what we would associate with the spleen chakra, right? Or Netzach, which means Netzach has to do with power or victory. But a lot of times, that power of victory is that ability to overcome difficulty or the ability to overcome obstacle. If you look at the idea of the spleen chakra, a lot of times when somebody is, say, depressed or, having a difficult time, maybe not processing something emotionally or just feeling a bit melancholy. When you look at them energetically, a lot of times the spleen chakra is actually quite depleted. And the spleen chakra has to do with like the overall vitality, right? But on a deeper level, like when we have emotions or when we need to process through something, it doesn't have to be some big thing that you're processing through. Sometimes it's just processing the body emotions of a normal day, or maybe you're a little achy, or you have a little bit of a health issue, or there's a stressful situation, right? And for us to be able to process that, or to even have that experience of having a sense of well-being, for the heart chakra to be activated, the spleen has to be activated, and the spleen has to be strong and healthy. Like, you could think of it as the spleen provides the energy for us to feel. The spleen provides the energy for us to like process and move through something. The spleen has the energy for us to push through and overcome obstacles, especially internal obstacles. A lot of times when we have difficulty, I can say this for myself, is I approach the situation with an internal kind of unconscious or subconscious idea of this is what I'm willing to do, right? And then it usually doesn't go very well. And then I have to go, okay, do I walk away or do I not do this? Or do I dig deep? And even though this is what I was willing to do, am I willing to do that? Right. And this is what you would call progress. Progress in life, progress emotionally, mentally, but also progress for the soul. The processes involved with evolving the soul are the same processes that we go through to heal some sort of situation, to heal some sort of karmic pattern, to heal some emotional or mental thing that we might have with a person or a situation. Like when we do that, we're not just healing that situation, we're helping the soul to evolve, right? And so this aspect is tied to life, to sustaining life, and progress that can happen in life. You have these two sides of your brain, you have these two sides of your nervous system, right? One is associated with life, and one is associated with the soul. And, you know, to a certain extent, when we think of the lower nature and the higher nature, we think of higher as being the higher nature, and lower, the lower part of the body or deep within the body or the lower chakras, as being the lower nature. But in a way, you could back up and say one side of your brain is lower nature and one side of your brain is higher nature. One part of your nervous system is lower nature, one part of your nervous system is higher nature. It's not just the physical lower part of your body, right? And so, with that, Aniel is about love. And when we start to make progress through situations, when we start to actively like overcome some sort of internal obstacle, or we deal with some difficulty on the outside, and we dig deep, and even though we were only going to do this, we do this. Not only are we helping the soul to evolve, but you're cultivating and you're harnessing a deeper level of light, right? And when you really begin to harness the idea of light, light produces love. You really can't experience love without light. From darkness, it's practically impossible to experience love. And love is not just, oh, this person likes me or we get along, a harmony in a relationship. But love, the aspect of divine love, is also providence, it's harmony, it's stability. And so, if we're trying to bring stability in our life, the idea of bringing that providence or bringing some form of stability, right? The the mechanism is if we bring in enough light, the light eventually turns to love, right? And so the Archangel Anael is tied to this process, the ability to bring in the light, but to keep that light moving to produce the love aspect or the stability aspect. And so this has an impact on relationships. This has an impact on emotional healing. If you're really wanting to move through some sort of internal blockage, I've used Aniel on many occasions to work through some of the, I don't know what you would call them, emotional blockages or the stuff that happened when I was, growing up and young. Nothing horrible, but still in my mind, I had some story associated with it, or, I was traumatized or and so Aniel was very helpful in moving through those issues and just kind of unwinding them. And it wasn't like I had to go through and relive something. It's almost like I just picked myself up in those situations and went, wow, that really sucked. And you just get up and kind of walk off without it still stinging, you know, if that makes sense. And so this idea is also that Aniel brings in a kind of beauty, you know, and beauty is an interesting thing. It's not just what's pleasing to the eye, but if you think about the idea of perceiving things from the point of view of the soul versus the point of view of our lower nature and what is survival oriented, the beauty becomes this thing that is beyond survival, beyond the dysregulation, beyond I need to protect myself or I need to defend myself. It really goes beyond the senses. And on a deeper level, the idea of working on hell, it it brings a kind of like like a practical sense, you could say. If you work with Aniel long enough, it refines your senses. It refines your senses to the point where you start perceiving more with the intuitive mind, with the eyes of the soul, from the soul field versus the survival field. The difficulty with our senses is they're so tied to our survival that we see them through a trauma lens, or we see them through, a fear lens, or we see it through the lens of the past, or in deeper esoteric practices, they call it a klipothic lens, which is each energy center has its kind of dysregulation, and that you just see everything through dysregulation, you know and we've been unwinding that stuff for a while. Like, it's not some new idea. Sometimes new terminology might be used, but this is something we've always been doing. It's something we've always been working towards. And, you know, I would say that ability to perceive beauty is the ability to perceive goodness or the light or the intuitive path in whatever situation is happening, however negative it is. There's always a path to growth, to higher experiences, to progress, not to get bogged down with those primal drives of the survival field and fight flight and just seeing things from the point of view of gotta defend, I gotta protect, I gotta do something, right? And so I find Aniel very interesting. I'm probably going to say that about every angel, you know. But the thing that I also say about archangels is when there's things going on in the world where you go like, "Ugh, these things in the world, what should I do?" And invoking angels is good. It's always good. Remember, it's an energy with consciousness. But for world events or world related issues, archangels are always a little bit of a better choice. They have a bigger role and they have a bigger influence, and there's a deeper kind of energy that comes in with consciousness. And so this could even be something that you use for the things you see going on in the world. And remember, it's not about setting an intention and then putting something forward. You just see a situation and invoke the angel. The angel is energy with consciousness. It knows what to do way better than we do. We're just acting as a vessel, as like a conduit to like bring that energy in. That is our task. That is our job, right? And so with this, before we even get started, I thought we'd do something even without oils right off the bat. So close your eyes and be aware of your body. Just feel something in your body. You're listening to your body. Okay. As we listen to our body, as we practice body awareness, we're shifting out of the survival field associated with fight, flight, and intellect and survival thinking, right? And we start to switch over to more of the soul field, which is tied to rest and repair and healing intelligence and the intuitive mind, right? So now let's do the same thing, but with something that's happened in your week or something that's happening in the news that, you know, moves you a little bit, is upsetting or, you know, you're concerned about. Observe that situation and keep observing that situation. And then silently in your mind, repeat, Ah, Na, El. Ah, Na, El. One of the things that I do when I work with Anael is that, I say a little prayer. I start to do like what we're doing. I say Anael. And then, this idea of being associated with beauty or aesthetics, um, it's associated with Venus. So one of the things that I do a lot of times when I'm working on IL is I say the name repeatedly. I inhale the oil a little bit. And then again, it's tied to the refining of the senses, you know. And one of the things that I like to do is I silently just kind of keep saying, give me the eyes to see, give me the eyes to see. Not the wounds of the past, not my conditioning, but to see the light in any situation, to see the path in any situation, to receive like the guidance in any of these given situations. So again, as you're looking at this situation in the outside world, ah, na, el. And even with that, a lot of times you can start to feel something happening. Even if it's just us coming into a place of greater vagal tone, of greater conductivity, stepping away from the dysregulation, we start to become a little bit of a light shining in the world. That idea of beauty is not a materialistic kind of beauty. Be aware of your body, observe your body. If you're having issues in your body or you feel some tension in your body, observe it. With your awareness on your body, again, ah, na, el, ah, na, el. Again, if we're sharing things that I like to do in situations like this, there's a way to become super, like more conductive to the oil, the energy flowing through the oil, which is really you're invoking the angelic energy. Take the bottle, hold it up between your eyebrows, right? And you say, I'm super receptive and conductive to the angel Anael. So be it. So be it. So be it. Then begin inhaling. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just let everything go. Let everything go. Now, you're aware of your body, and wherever you're having difficulty in your body, your hip, your back, your jaw, your knee, your tooth, whatever it is, just even tangent. Your awareness is on that spot, and you're inhaling the oil of the Archangel Anael. And as you're inhaling silently, just keep repeating Anael. 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 And then let everything go. Now, think of something out in the world that might be stirring you or upsetting you or something going on, be it that it's personal or a world event. Observe it and inhale the oil. And then pause and be still. Notice what's starting to happen. What do you notice? Like if you think of like providence, when we're talking about divine love and providence and stability, a lot of times energetically, what that happens is like even if you're doing, you know, other angel work, or you're doing these invocations, or you have this deep meditation, or you're looking at something in the world or in your life where it's like, ugh, this needs help, right? And then you go through and you do the process. Like there's this kind of wave, first the light is coming in, but the divine love or the providence that comes in, you'll know it because it feels like on a deeper and deeper level there's like an internal settling, like everything just keeps like settling and calming and settling. And there's times where I don't feel unsettled until I do this, and then I was like, ooh, apparently I wasn't as settled as I thought. And it's not that we backslid, but like even when we have this, like I have this deep sense of stability and I feel settled and I feel providence in a couple weeks, you still could go deeper. So it's not always like, oh, I backslid, you know. When we get some sort of immediate relief or a calming, soothing sensation wash over us, we go, ah, I've arrived. When really it's just a step and we could keep taking further steps. But a lot of times we have to digest that step, right? Before we take another step, we have to sit and we have to digest it. And so the more that we digest it, the deeper we can go into that, you know. And, a couple weekends ago or a weekend ago, I can't remember, we were talking just a little tiny bit about even like with the use of herbs and oils, there's these things called an adaptogen. And basically, it's what helps your body like adapt to stress and it's like it calms and soothes the instinctive drives. It just keeps calming and soothing the body. And like an adaptogen is a form of bringing this settling or this calming to any sort of agitation or stressed out state that the body might be in, the emotions, the mind. And so, even herbally, we try to go through and bring this about through the use of, different plants and things of this nature. But here, we're doing it with this angel, right? So we've kind of experienced it in the body. And like Samantha was saying, she had something that was bothering her a little bit. You know how just like some days you'll just wake up and it's like, one of my wheels is off. Like, you just, you know. And she was saying just doing the angel, like the symptoms are going down substantially. And I don't think it was bothering you that bad, but
No,
it
it's
was there.
and it's like you said, just like not too bad, but like when it's gone, you're like, oh, this is so much better.
Yeah. So let's do a deeper connection with this angel. And so with the oil, inhale, and your awareness is on the forehead. You're doing nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the forehead. Your awareness is still in your forehead. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay. Move your awareness to the back head. So, opposite this area between your eyebrows on the back side. Now, go to the sides of your head. So, the whole side of your head, both sides. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And now move your awareness to your brain. Your awareness is on your brain. You're going deeper into the head. Keep relaxing into the brain. Move your awareness down into the spine, your whole spine. And just let that go for a moment. Just letting that go.
Mm.
Now, your awareness is on the back of your throat, the middle of the back of your neck. Then just let that go for a moment, let it cook. How's that doing you? Body's feeling more settled. Mm. Okay, put your awareness back on the brain and take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, move your awareness down to the high heart, the throat minor, that bottom throat, that area right between the two collarbones. That area, nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, from there, move your awareness to your knees, either your whole knee or the back side of your knee. Your ankles, your awareness is on your ankles, and then the soles of your feet. And then just pause and let go. Just let it incubate for a moment. So we're going to do a process with using Archangel Anael for moving through like emotional blockages or emotional healing. Something that might be very, very old, a pattern that's in your life. You don't even really have to identify exactly what it is. If you just keep doing the process, it will heal it. Before we do that, let's do some shares and questions. You can unmute yourself and type in. Go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. So I'm curious about this. When I
Mhm.
started the process, I just had all these discordant thoughts from the day. It felt like they flew off my head. Like,
Yeah.
is that supposed to happen? I'm like, and then my
Well,
mind started
y-
wandering, and then
is
just in
it
the,
supposed to happen or you hope that it happens? Like
oh, is it a good thing?
it's a very good thing. Yeah. Y- you know, the thing that I would say is, we have the things that happen in the day, or things that happen in the week, or we have things in a particular situation. Like work is a very good example. Like,
Hmm.
you have your life away, but then when you get into the workplace, you kind of go into this place of the way you are at work. And it's kind of like how when you sit in your meditation space, like you're all stressed out, and then you sit in your meditation space and you're like, ah, it feels so good. I could just sit here. And then you do your little meditation and you're done. Well, part of it is that space is kind of holding an energy, or you could say it's full of thought forms that are
Ah,
associated. So you sit down and you start to experience that. And then, you get to the work and it could be the same, but in maybe not such a great way, where like
ah,
you get to work and it's like, everybody's stressed out, or we've been stressed out for years, and so you're fine. And then you go back to work and you just kind of jump back into that like stream or that wave. And so the thing that happens over a period of time is we start to maintain that, and we start to protect it and defend it. And even though it makes us miserable and we hate it, we still get in there. And it's the nature of the mind, it's the nature of the nervous system as we get in. And uh like, here we go again, right? And so even when we have those moments where we have like, hey, I'm throwing off the day, you're starting to break out of a pattern. Like,
Uh-huh.
like they might still be doing the pattern, but you might be able to step into the pattern and step out of it without being like drawn in like a gravitational field that just sucks you in no matter what. You know what I mean? And
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
and you like can step away and go, whoa, got a little dirty today. And then you kind of shake it off. And really that's going to be a lot of little movements. It's usually not a big, I mean, every once in a while a big thing happens and it makes you that way, but most times it's a lot of throwing it off of for the day, throwing it off for the week. And the perspective will start to shift and change where you start to kind of see it like, when you're in the moment, it's like, oh, it's all this. But then after a while, it's like, yeah, but over a 20-year cycle, that little thing was just a blip. But when you're in it in the moment, it feels like everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it really does start to change, you know, your perspective of seeing things with a microscope versus binoculars.
That's great. So thank you.
Yeah.
It did feel like I was throwing things off. It was like
Yeah, Samantha was having a similar experience where she was just like, she kept sinking a little bit further and further into her chair, and she's like, "It's getting good," you know. I think some of that is that settling, like there's different kinds or different ways of settling, but you can almost feel like your nervous system and just something internally just keeps like settling into itself, settling into itself, settling into itself. And
Yeah.
really, that's a calming down of instinctual responses and reactions to stuff in the environment and projections from other people and you know all those things. And it's just it's like you're kind of settling back into your your true self rather than
Yeah.
the condition thing that happened over the last week, month, year, decade, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, it was really great. And I love putting the roller balls on the occiput.
Isn't it amazing?
Ah,
Like I made one today, like I was like, I can't wait.
and I giggled. I'm like, I'm gonna have 52
Yeah,
boxes
yeah,
stacked up. I don't know how many angels there are, but I was counting the weeks. I'm like, this is gonna be a year of the angel boxes.
yeah, yeah,
What a divine gift. So
yeah.
thank you very much.
You're so welcome. I know the angels are really interesting to work with. The more we go into them, the more fascinating they become. You know, I think it's like next level healing because you're bringing in an energy with consciousness, and it just, I don't know, it does things that even our mind doesn't even comprehend, like needs to happen, and all of a sudden it happens, and then your mind is like, oh yeah, I wanted some of that too. Like, it's almost like you don't get until it happens. I don't know.
And go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey Greg,
How are
um,
you?
thanks for the trip on Palo Santo this weekend. That's been working out really nice.
Yeah, isn't that a good?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
juicy. It's juicy.
yeah, yeah, good.
Um, so Aniel,
Hmm.
could my brain kind of wants to summarize it in saying that Aniel kind of helps you see with the eyes of God, Great Spirit, Buddha, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, the name means like the answer of God or God is answered. And
Hmm.
so, if even those explanations that like it kind of gives us an idea, but like we see it from an intellectual point of view, but then when we kind of sit with that idea and let it sink in and like see it from an intuitive, point of view, it's like in any of the situations, in any of the difficulties, there's always like a path, and it might not be the thing we think needs to happen, but there is this unfolding or this like guidance that happens, associated with overcoming an obstacle or just being able to see something divine when something maybe bad is happening or something. And
or maybe like there's whatever the perceived obstacle is, and seeing what the higher purpose is, what the learning, I will use the word
yeah,
learning as a, because I don't know another word right now. What's the learning behind this? What do I?
right. I would say most obstacles, because if you really look at like the mind, we learn from processing a problem, you know,
Mhm.
even if it's from an intuitive point of view. So a lot of times those things that are obstacles that we want to go make go away are really something that can make us wiser, more in tuned, more guided, whatever it might be. And so it really starts to be about perspective, because even when we see it as, oh, it's a difficulty, we need to make it go away, we kind of go to a place where we go through it through hard knocks, and we're still going to get the lesson. It's not going to be as pleasant, and it might take longer, but we'll eventually get it. That's the thing is, you can only be hit over the head for so long with a two by four before you go, okay, I've had it enough. you
Yeah.
know. And when we do it from that thing of trying to suppress it or not engage it, or just try to keep doing the same things that we've always done, rather than going, okay, I need to dig deep and pull something out of myself. And I think a lot of times when I do this for myself, or I should say this for myself, is a lot of times when I like try to suppress like the difficulty, or not engage it, or not to work through it or problem solve it. If I really dig deep, a lot of times it's timing. And I say that in a way that if I'm tired, or if I'm fatigued, or I'm a little, I'm a little battle torn or whatever it is, I tend not to work through it as well, or I'm not as willing to work through it. But when I feel a little internally stronger, and when, if we're looking at it from the point of view of the energy body, when the spleen is stronger, like I have juice in my legs to do what I need to do to go through and do it. Because if you look at like even learning and evolving in a situation takes energy. And so that idea of process is having the juice to be able to push through and like learn from something. And if we look a lot of times when we're in a place of difficulty, that there is kind of this inner like tiredness or exhaustedness, or just like, "Ugh, I'm so frustrated, I'm so ready to give up," or whatever it is.
I'm
It,
so ready to have some stability here for a
yeah,
minute to catch my breath,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
And so, Aniel does kind of help you get that juice in your legs where you go, okay, let's do this little one, and then maybe we'll do a big one later. It does help with that. It is kind of one of those things that, you know, it helps us engage that process for us to be able to evolve out of whatever pattern it is that's bothering us or causing us suffering. Or it could be a simple ache and pain in the body, it could be this lifelong pattern that we keep banging our head on, or something in between. But if we don't have the juice in our legs for it, usually we don't break out of it, we don't move through it. And even the idea of it refining the senses, if you look at, a lot of times what people call therapy or something, some of it is about refining the senses, and some of it is about dulling the senses. And the dulling the senses just puts you back into that place of repetition. And so, the having like like a good like sense, like having sensibility in a situation still takes juice in your legs. You know, you have to refine the senses. You have to refine the mind, which is processing the senses. And so if you look at the idea of brain fatigue is you don't have the energy to process the senses. I mean, that's basically what happens. And so then you just start kind of running on this autopilot and can't really think as clear. You don't have the emotions to process something. Your body gets in a very reactive place. You know, it starts to become more susceptible to illness and pain. You know, it just starts this weird downward spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since Palo Santo is my new favorite,
Hmm.
how about mixing some Palo Santo on the feet and inhaling the Aniel?
Yeah. 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 I would do that. Sure.
Okay.
I mean, the thing with that's nice about Palo Santo is it just calms down dysregulation no matter what. You know,
Mhm.
wherever you're kind of directing it. And, you know, it might not be completely shutting it down, but it keeps taking layers off. And that's always a good thing. You know, you could say even working the Palo Santo before you work the angel is going to make you more conductive to the angel because dysregulation has come down a notch. You know, that's why they use it a lot of times in ceremony and in Central and South America.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Let me know how that goes.
I will.
Someone shared my spot got really achy, but that was when we were doing the body awareness. The more I sit here, the more spacey I get. I think we're
Yeah,
good
we're
to
good.
keep going. Yeah.
Okay, so be it a difficulty or some emotional thing you might be dealing with, some psychological thing, or if you're not sure, just put your awareness on your body. So either put your awareness on some issue, some situation, some pattern, or just on the body itself. Could be an ache or a pain as well. So your awareness is there, and you're taking some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and let it go. Okay, your awareness is on your feet. We're going to push through and move through blockages from the psyche, from the emotions, through patterns in our lives. Your awareness is on your feet. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, move your awareness to your low back, the back side of your navel. Your awareness is on your spine. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your spine. Your awareness is on the back heart, that area between your shoulder blades. Your awareness is on the back throat, the middle of the back of your neck. Now, your awareness is on the tip of your nose. The tip of your nose. Your awareness is on your brain. Your awareness is on the top of your head. And 12 inches above your head. And then just be still and let it go. Just let it all go. Now, still using that oil, visualize yourself in a pillar of light. From above your head, all the way down through your body, aligned with your spine, all the way down to below your feet. You're standing in a pillar of light. Inhale, to visualize the pillar of light. And then just pause and let go. Just pause and let go. Just be still. Just let it incubate. And up. So let's go ahead and do some shares and some questions. We are going to do it again. Like Samantha was going, that felt really good. And I was like, we're going to do it again. She was like,
Yeah.
so that pattern is not new to us. Like, the new part is putting it together with the pillar of light. And the pillar of light just deepens the effect of us starting from the feet and working our way up, which really what we're doing is we're transmuting, right? So that's how we push through some instinctive, you know, conditioning. We go through and process like emotional patterns or blockages. If there's something in the mind, especially if it's something repetitive, it will also have an impact on that. And then if it's karmic, as we go from the brain to that 12 inches above your head, that energy is moving up from your crown up towards the top, that 12 inches above your head, which is your incarnated soul, and it lands there as lesson learned, right? So as we go through and we do that process, whatever is associated with that pattern, or if you go, I don't know if I have a pattern, you just do it and it will work on whatever patterns you got going on, right? And then with the angelic, like either the name or using the angelic oil, when you put your awareness on that pillar of light, it deeply amplifies the effect of the transmutation. You could say if you do it enough, really you could just get to the place where you visualize the pillar of light, but you really got to kind of set the pattern for a while. So every time you do this, it becomes easier and easier for you to process these emotions and work through whatever blockages or instincts or being triggered, whatever that is, because every time you do it, it's like cutting a path in the snow. It becomes easier and easier and easier. And pretty soon it just starts to happen without you thinking about it. So, this idea again about overcoming obstacles is also like kind of pathways in the energy body that if we tread them enough, they just happen on an unconscious level. And so that pillar of light is really like the end result of setting that pattern. And if we set it enough, pretty soon we can just go to the pillar of light and it happens. Right?
Yeah, someone shared beautiful, cool energy running up and down the body.
Yeah, good.
Lots of yawning.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lara.
Hey, Laura.
Hi. So just putting this on the wrist would be some part of your day.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. You can put it on the wrist, you can put it on the heart, you can put it on the forehead, like you could just choose one, or the thumb webs.
And the other thing is, um, w- what is the difference, the surrounding yourself in the ball of light versus the pillar of light, or does it just not matter?
So no, there is differences. So when you surround yourself in the ball of light, the big ball, like when you're surrounding your whole body with light. Really, what you're doing is you're starting to balance out the dysregulation in the nervous system. You're starting to increase vagal tone, but at that point, you're beginning to let a greater level of light come into the body, come into the mind, come into the form. right? And then, like the last few weeks, we started doing the smaller ball of light, which is the head, neck, and the shoulders. And with that, as the light is coming in, then you're beginning to like attune to the light. It's not just coming in, but you're like, oh, this light thing is good. Like, I would like to, how we were saying, like we get this perception of always being in a stressed out situation or always being dysregulated. We start like seeing through the eyes of survival, right? And the more that we do the ball around the head and neck and the upper shoulder, we begin shifting out of the eyes of survival and we begin attuning to more of the intuitive mind, which can see with like greater depth in a situation or beyond the senses. Basically, you're gathering more information than just the senses are presenting to you, right? And in that phase, when you're doing the ball around the head, neck, and shoulders, you're actually mixing the energy of the heart and the crown. Like the energy is moving from the heart up into the brain and into the crown. And so just there, you're starting to connect the incarnated soul and the higher soul to a much greater degree. Then when you come down to again, we just started doing this like in the last week or two, but I've always been talking about, oh, below your feet, this, that, whatever. When you visualize yourself standing on a lotus, you know, you could do different visualizations. I find that the lotus is the most effective, right? And so when you see yourself standing on a lotus, now you're going from attuning to the light to aligning with the light. And that means that the different aspects of a will start choosing like if we look at it from the point of view of the nervous system, they start choosing vagal tone over stress and dysregulation. They start choosing intuition over the intellect and the repetition of doing these patterns over and over again. We start moving our behaviors, our actions, our thoughts, our feelings keep moving more towards experiencing light rather than experiencing the form and the repetition. Then when we do the pillar, right here we ran through and you did like a transmutation process and then you visualized the pillar. So after you do the lotus, you do the pillar. And as you do the pillar, you are transmuting the blockages in the body, the emotions, and the mind, and you're creating like a greater pathway to experiencing the incarnated soul and then eventually the soul. And so in that, we really begin breaking patterns to a much higher degree because a lot of times, like the karmic patterns or the patterns that are in our life are really they're more lessons to be learned than like a punishment. And so what we kind of think of that as it being an intellectual thing. Like there's something like we got to figure this out. Like, I can't tell you how many decades I spent doing that. And it's not about figuring it out. It is about processing. Like from the point of view of the soul, it's about processing. From the point of view of the intellect, it's like, oh, I got to figure this out, and I need to maintain this or defend this or stimulate this or make this happen. When really, the making it happen is just putting yourself in a place to where it can process. And so the idea of standing in the pillar of light is that end result of processing, you're processing something. And so even the idea of like the auric programs and everything was leading us to this deeper practice at some point. The auric program is really refining the survival field, that part of us that engages the survival. But when we start talking about the ball of light, we're engaging the intuitive mind and the soul and these aspects. And really our field's going to be a mix of the two. But if the survival field isn't refined enough, we have these great experiences and then we're diabolical, when we come back to our lower nature. And so it's not just making a connection to the soul, but you're refining the form and even the idea of survival, because we're not trying to walk away from survival. We're just trying not to let survival be the thing that calls all the shots and makes all the decisions. And so when that starts to happen, you notice it's more about the present than living like in the past or the what ifs or the hypotheticals. Yeah.
Thank you.
How was your experience?
That was really, really good.
Good. So like again, it you can use it to work through a specific pattern, but also even if you just did this little piece where you do the transmutation and the pillar of light, you're setting the pattern so that when something arises, it's like your energy body, your physiology, your emotions, your mind just go to like, hey, let's transmute this. Like we know what to do. So like your you're you're setting a pattern so that when things arise, the the pattern set, because it's like the thing that we talk about with the repetition of the intellect. It can work against us and it can work for us. And if we set these energetic patterns enough in our body, that repetitive aspect then becomes an ally rather than an adversary.
Interesting. I'm going to have to re-listen to this. You just taught an awful lot of really interesting things.
I'm going to be talking about it for months. So
Great. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
thank you very
You're so
much.
welcome.
And go ahead, Danelle.
Hey, Danelle.
Hey, Greg. I went into this not knowing anything about this angel. I kind of missed the beginning, and I think usually that's when you're talking a little bit
Yeah,
about the
that's when I get all
angel.
chatty.
But
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
back and listen to it.
Yeah.
But it was interesting not knowing anything, and the energy was very, I don't know, like divine, motherly, loving,
Yeah, it's very,
gentle.
angels usually don't have a gender, but it is very like of the feminine. It's very much of
Mhm.
the feminine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and very permissive. So the
Yeah. Yeah.
pattern was just some of the when I have stress, I go to
Yeah.
sugar. So that was kind of the pattern. And I just saw these hands with a lot of light and just this offering of, just give it to me and let it go. And
Nice.
it was very beautiful,
Yeah.
lots and lots of light, and I'm back in my body, but I was very like out, like
Mhm.
cloud, like floating on a cloud. So really, really nice.
So a couple of things there. So like any time that we talk about like, the idea of divine feminine or the feminine aspect, it's almost always referring to the love aspect, which is stability and providence and the masculine is more of creative destruction, right?
Okay.
So like here the angel is bringing in light, but then with the drive of producing love or stability, right? And so there's that aspect. And then there was something else that you said that made me, yeah, yeah, I lost it. Oh well.
I talked about the hands and then just
Yeah.
cloud like
Would you say right before the hands though?
right before about letting go of this pattern with the kind of sugar going to sugar when
Yeah.
stressed.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes things come in and then I can't hold
And
on.
then they go. That's
Yeah.
okay.
So, but that idea of, It's like even like a pattern, like we were saying before. It's about like processing through it. And sometimes it's not that it's like I don't want to process through this. It's like sometimes we just don't have the energy. We don't have the inner flow to like make it happen.
Mhm.
And that's what this angel is really about is processing through those things and refining the senses and moving to where we can you know feel things to a greater degree in the heart and integrate them and maybe process them and let them go or whatever that might be. And so it is about overcoming obstacles in the external but also overcoming obstacles in the internal. And you know there's those two aspects again to life where or our experience is one is life and one is processing, which is the more the intuitive mind. And it's not that we shouldn't try to survive, it's just that we shouldn't have to feel like the need to be aggressive or like overly defensive or overly protective or just always waiting for the next shoe to drop or I can't put my
Yeah.
guard down or and so with that you're refining the senses and really how you engage the external world. And then the processing is kind of like that ability to let go of that survival mode for just a moment and then being able to go inward because survival is always outward driven. So processing is more inward driven. And so, I remember what I was going to say. So, like in that, whenever you have like that expansive experience, like a meditation, or you're sitting there doing the angel, and you're like, and you go somewhere or you're in kind of a state where it's different than your normal everyday mind, like you're only able to expand like that depending on how much of the form is ready. Like because when you have that expansion, the reform, the form, the body, the emotional patterns, the form of the mind and how the mind functions, like the thing that gets is in that expansion is refining in that, and when it comes back it's a little like upgraded. And so yes, that happens, but part of the goal is to kind of keep going deeper into the form and breaking stuff loose so that you can like, let's refine that. Let's have deeper expansion. Let's have a deeper level of awareness in our meditation or in our ceremony or working with this angel where I expand to a greater degree because if I do that, that means I'm refining like the body, the emotions, and the mind to a certain degree so that I can have that expansion. And when I have that expansion and it comes back in, I'm a little bit different. Like I'm
Mhm.
not the person from 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever it is. I'm a little bit different, not just in here, but also how I act out there. And so it does kind of shift those drives of survival. It does shift that survival field and that survival lens that we see everything through.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, it seemed just so easy,
Yeah, yeah.
just here,
That's the thing with angels, man. Like when you start tapping into them, yeah, it's um, there's an access there that is very easy and smooth. You know,
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you.
you're so welcome.
Someone's asking, can a different angel or archangel be used with this pattern?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Will the result be similar?
Depends on the angel. Each angel is going to have its kind of energy that it brings in, and so um, it will be pleasant, but it might not be exactly the same. Yeah.
Wow, something big happening at the crown all of a sudden.
Yeah, good. Okay, so let's do another round, right? We're going to do that same pattern. So if you'd like, you can put your awareness on your body, like an area of healing. If something that's like maybe emotional, some pattern, some situation with a person or an event or something, whatever it might be, just begin observing that and then inhale the oil. Okay, pause and let it go. Okay, here we go. Your awareness is on your feet. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your feet. Move your awareness to the low back, the backside of the navel, the Mingmen. Your awareness is on your spine, your whole spine. Your awareness is on your spine. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the back heart. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the back heart. Thank you. That area between the shoulder blades. Your awareness is on the back throat, the middle of the back of your neck. Your awareness is on the tip of your nose. Your awareness is on the brain. Your awareness is on top of your head, the crown. And your awareness is 12 inches above your head. And then your jaw's letting go. Now, visualize the pillar of light above your head, running through your whole body, all the way down below your feet. Visualize the pillar of light. You're standing in the pillar of light as you inhale the oil. And then pause and let it go. Just let it go. Let's just visualize one more time. You're in the pillar of light. Above your head, through your body, down below your feet. You're standing in this pillar of light. You're inhaling the oil. And then just pause and let go. In that building. In your prefrontal cortex. Yeah. Okay, let's unmute, type in, share experiences, ask questions. Samantha was saying she could feel a lot happening in her prefrontal cortex, like things are shifting around. And, if you think that's part of emotional learning and processing,
And the first time we went through, it felt like something big was happening.
Mhm.
And it was just like when we did the pillar of light, when we let go at the 12 inches above, I was like, whoa, something's. But then it was when we did that pillar of light, I was like, it was almost shocking to my system, like the amount of light or something
Mhm.
going on. And then this cycle, yeah, it's just like feels like so much is happening right
Mhm.
there. Very interesting.
So, like say you're sitting here and you're doing a session like we're doing tonight, and you go, okay, I've gone through and I've done the feet and the low back and the spine, and you've done that. Maybe you did it once, maybe you did it twice, but then you visualize the pillar of light. So at that point, you can just keep letting it go and keep coming back to visualizing the pillar of light. You're energetically helping to establish this pattern by working that transmutation process. But once it's there, you can just keep like re-experiencing it and setting that pattern. If you want to go through and do the transmutation process, you can. But once you've gone through and done it, you kind of got the juices flowing, and you can just keep going. Pillar of light, let go. Pillar of light, let go. Pillar of light, let go.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping.
Yeah.
And I did choose a different situation the second time. And I could feel I was like, oh, my mind was like, I want to have a like resolution almost. And it was felt like it was blocking it. I was like, just let that go. But the light really kind of force things to let go. So
Mhm.
it was really
And we will do this with other angels. So it's not just about you do that only with this angel. Like this is a process that you could do with pretty much any of the angels, but they're all going to have their different vibe, you know. So, yeah.
yeah, someone shared so much gold light.
Mm,
And now my prefrontal cortex is
yeah.
cranking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is only the third week, right? But I mean, we did the whole ARC program last year, and from the start to the finish, I'm like, yeah, I can tell something. Each
Mm,
oil was different. But this feels like every week, like, okay, I'm a new person now.
right.
Oh, I'm a new
Yeah.
person now.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's wonderful.
The angels are both gentle and powerful all at the same time. Yeah, it's really kind of amazing. And they don't push us into something that we're not ready for. If we're not ready for it, it will just kind of hold a pattern or, wait till you are ready. So, I mean, yeah. So, the thing that I would say is this is one that's been in other kits. And so, uh, if you have enough to do a salt bath, I would do a salt bath. I'd try putting some at the base of your skull and maybe on your forehead a little bit. Um, I like to also put it on my feet, like the soles of my feet. Um, and so, you know, try, here we go through and we do this process, but also try put like Laura was saying, what if I put it on my wrist? What if I do something like that? I would say you could do that, but even more, like, like the base of the skull, the forehead, mm, the heart, the soles of the feet. Try also kind of using the oil because it's not just that the oil has the energy of the plants, like when they're blended in the way that they're doing, the way they're made, it's like they align with that angel and there's an energy that comes through it, like they become a vessel more than a substance, and that it helps the energy to kind of flow. And so experiment with it a little bit, kind of take it into your world of like, I'm going to put some on my chest before I go to bed, or, I'm going to, put some on my forehead or at the base of my skull. That's my new jam. Oh my God, it feels so good. Um, and then I've been back, base of the skull and the forehead. Oh, so, go ahead and play with it and see how that treats you. And next week we're doing Ariel. Yeah. So next week is Ariel. And so hopefully you can join us for that. And we're going to move over to the prayer petition blessing for Astara. And thanks for hanging out. And tomorrow night, we'll be doing some things with the Astara session. But then after that, we're doing deeper healing, like deeper dive into dysregulation. And so, kind of the other side of the coin of what we did last week. So, hopefully, you can join us. And then the weekend, mystical approach to chakras, which a lot of you have had, and very different approach. So, I would say anybody working with angels or the vagal tone, I would revisit the class. So, even though we've done it 2 or 3 different times, I think this is fourth
Yeah,
version.
for
Yeah.
okay.
So